Hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to my Architecture of Dishonored 2 series. I'm Simon. Okay, so in this video we are going to walk through the streets of Karnaka. So the way the game Dishonored 2 is designed, each mission you start on the boat, you travel through a part of the city, and then you get to your destination, and then there's something you have to do at the destination. So the street parts, I'm going to look at all of them in this video because they're kind of similar and they don't really... They're more similar to each other than they have anything to do with the actual location where the mission takes place, right? That over there, that ship is the Dreadful Whale. So in the last video we were on the Dreadful Whale looking at Karnaca. So now we are on the docks. Right, we're off the boat, and here's the close-up of Karnaka. Right, so regarding the architecture that we see right in front of us, in comparison to Dunwall, the first thing we see is that the architecture reflects the warmer weather here in Karnaka. You'll notice that the roofs are flatter, there are more windows, and there are fewer chimneys. Right, so fewer chimneys mean fewer fireplaces because we don't get as cold in Karnaka. We're closer to the equator, and therefore we don't need as many fireplaces. We have more windows to take advantage of the sunlight, and because windows actually you lose a lot of heat from the windows. So if you have a really cold climate, you would prefer not to have big windows everywhere, because otherwise you have a hard time heating your house, right? And the flat roofs are because it rains less. Right, so that applies to all the buildings, basically, in the city of Karnaka. We also see that the city is quite dense, right? You see these buildings here, all of them are, what are they, like 4, 5, 6 stories tall, and they're really jammed close together. So, I mean, I guess that means land prices are high because, you know, if land is cheap, you wouldn't bother building everything so close together. The other thing is that transport maybe is not very well developed. In the real world, before the invention and the widespread adoption of automobiles, cities would be much denser because you had to walk everywhere, and there's a limit to how far you can walk before you get too tired. And so like medieval cities, and even later on, basically up until cars became widespread, cities were quite narrow, streets were quite narrow. I mean, cities are quite like dense, streets are quite narrow. And it's only with the invention of cars, and you start having cars on the streets, then the streets had to be wider to accommodate the cars, and the buildings are spaced further apart, because you're no longer walking everywhere. You get in your car to travel from place to place. It doesn't matter if things are further apart, and then the cities became a lot more spread out once cars were invented. So this kind of city, where you have like these kind of narrow alleyways, narrow streets, tall buildings, everything packed close together, we're talking about a pedestrian city mostly. Although there are, as we will see later on, there are like tram systems. But curiously, the trams, they're not really mass transit. The trams seem to be like luxury transit for like the wealthy elite. They don't have a lot of passenger capacity. That's a little strange, but we'll talk about it when we look at it. Okay, so we arrive in Karnaka on the docks. Although it's a pretty small dock, so this probably serves the local district. It's not really like the big port of the city, right? So we have the docks in the local area, and let's take a look around here. Alright, so the first thing we have is, what does that say? Bandera Beecham Sawmill Company, although we can't actually go inside the sawmill. Presumably that's a sawmill in there, and out here we have various manufactured wooden products, some stone, but mostly manufactured wood, right? So I guess this is the stuff that the sawmill produces. In fact, let me look at this. What is this? Are these like broken bits or are they... I think they're broken bits of wood. Ah, that's curious. So we have a sawmill there, some... Right, you imagine that ships will come in, unload the timber will get processed into manufactured products, and then they'll get back onto a boat and they'll ship them out, right? So that's pretty handy to have your shop right next to the docks like this. Ah, we have blood coming out of the drains. We will find the source of the blood pretty soon, but you can see this stuff. Ew. Those are fish guts, by the way. Yeah, so it probably smells really bad. The street is basically an open sewer, and you have fish guts slowly draining into the ocean. I mean, it probably smells terrible. And there's like bugs everywhere. I don't know why you would sit here. Hey. What are these guys doing? Is he gambling? But he's by himself. He's gambling with himself. Over here we have a bit of a bar, but it's open air. I'm not sure how this works, because usually you would have to close up the bar at night, right? When you close up shop, what happens to this stuff when you close up shop? You'd have to pack them away. Or the benches and the chairs are portable, I guess. I guess you can move all this stuff, and I'm not sure how you move this. There's no wheels on this thing. Anyway, I don't understand this. Like, if there was like a bar with some outdoor seating, okay, that makes sense. You can just close up the bar. But this is not that. This is just a stone wall. There's nothing behind here, right? So I don't know where he packs up his stuff into. So I mean, back in Dunwall there was a bar, but that was inside a building. And I said it makes sense to have a bar next to the docks because you have sailors coming here and they might come here get a drink. So you have a fairly good business. I just don't know what happens at night. Like, how does he pack this stuff up? Anyway, so that doesn't really make sense. Here we have whales. So they're still catching whales. This whale is kind of small though, compared to the whales that we see on the boats sometimes. And back in Dishonored 1, in the expansion, the Knife of Dunwall, there was one particular level where we looked inside a whale slaughterhouse, and there was a whale in there, and that whale was much bigger. So I think it's implied that the whales are getting smaller. And by they're getting smaller, I don't mean they're actually getting smaller. Is that they're catching smaller whales because all the big whales have been caught, and so they can't find the big old adult whales anymore because they've been hunted to extinction or to depletion. And now they're catching smaller whales. I think is what it implies. Anyway, this guy's just sitting here. I don't know if anyone's gonna actually do something with him. I mean, it must smell. This thing must smell terrible. I can't believe you would just stand here and look at it like this. First of all, it's gruesome. Second of all, it probably smells really bad. We have some ships. I think they're delivering something. Not much space for cargo though, is there? So like this fairly small dock, and these are fairly small ships, is what I'm trying to say. There's another whale in the water over there. Alright, what else? So, if we... Oh yeah, right. So here, I said earlier, in the last video, we said that Adomite Institute was out in the ocean, on an island. And there was this tram track, or these train tracks, going to the Adomite station. And here we can see them more closely. Like, first of all, the metal rails horizontally, there's no way the metal there is strong enough to hold up any trains like that. So I don't know how that makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Secondly, you see that the supports, these are like wooden supports holding up the tracks. So that's really fancy. We said in the last video that the timber structures usually represent the new technology. And it also uses these like diagonals and curves as opposed to the really square rectangular shapes of the stone buildings, right? And I guess, you know, in terms of like artistic merit, that looks kind of cool. Like you have this diagonal thing and then the tracks like curving around. So it looks pretty cool, it's nice and curvy and futuristic. In terms of structure though, it's not the most efficient structure because gravity pulls straight down, and so if your column is straight up and down, it's a lot easier to balance things, whereas if you have a diagonal column, your column is wanting to like bend over like this, so you have to like fix the base to make sure it doesn't fall over. In terms of physics, right, and structure, having a slightly diagonal column is a lot more complicated than just having a straight column. So this is something that is complicated for no good reason, except just to make it look cool. I mean, I'm not against things looking cool, I'm just saying there's a price you have to pay to make it look cool like this, is that you have to make it... Like, the structure is a lot more complicated to make work, like you have to like anchor the thing much more securely. Anyway. Yeah. It's I mean, in my opinion, it's an unnecessary extravagance. But, you know, if you're extravagant, you're extravagant, right? If you're into it, you're into it. Okay. So that's the train track support. Although we did say that the trees might be magical, and there's more evidence for this later on. So it might not be as silly as you might think. Like, I think the game implies that the wood is at least as strong as steel. Because otherwise a lot of the other stuff doesn't really make sense. We also have... Hold on, let me just turn off the... Can I turn that off? Alright, great. We also have these plants growing really close to buildings. I mean, you have plants growing up everywhere. We are, I think, in a tropical climate, and so you have these plants. I don't know if you've like been to... If you live in a tropical part of the world, if you've been to a tropical part of the world, it is kind of remarkable how the plants grow a lot more aggressively in that climate. So, I've visited Singapore. Singapore briefly. It was like a brief stopover. Changing flights. But even on that brief stopover, like you look at the vegetation in the city and you notice how it's a lot more aggressive. The plants are they just grow more aggressively, and they just like there's more of it, and it grows in more places. And it's kind of like this. Like you see all this stuff, like all these little plants growing up out of the cracks. You have these things growing up the side of the buildings. This tree kind of just sticking out of nowhere, and then like these vines just kind of growing up out of the cracks next to the building. It really reminds me of this kind of tropical vegetation where they will just grow anywhere they can. And I guess it's the climate, like it's the weather, it's the humidity. It really allows plants to grow a lot more, you know, than in some other parts of the world. Yeah, so if you lived in like a tropical place, you would probably notice this sort of thing. In Karnaca though, in this city, you see that giant tree there? I mean, this is one of them. In many parts of the city, there are just these giant trees in the middle of the city. And it's a little difficult to understand exactly how those work. Because those look like big rainforest trees, right? And, I mean, what are the possibilities? One possibility is that this used to be a forest. They chopped down all the trees to make room for the buildings. Although if they did that, what did they do with the wood? Right? Did they build houses with the wood? I mean, none of these houses are wooden, so if they did chop down all the trees, what did they do with the wood? We don't know. It's possible they chopped down all the other trees, left some of the trees in place, and then built the buildings around them. That's possible. The other possibility is that this wasn't a forest to start with. They built the buildings, and then the trees grew next to the buildings. But if that happens, The tree roots, as the tree roots grow, they would break the foundations of the buildings, and they would collapse your buildings. It's a really bad idea to have big trees grow right next to your house or next to any building, because tree roots, when they grow, they're actually really strong, and they would they would like disrupt the foundations of your building, and your building will fall over. So it doesn't make sense that the trees grew after the buildings are built. So if the trees were here before the buildings were built, these trees, I mean, if they're rainforest trees, like, yes, they can grow very big, but they usually can only grow very big if they're part of a forest. If you, like, plant one of these trees by itself, it doesn't grow as big, because, you know, the forest, the trees working together, they modify the climate of the forest, like, because they pull water out of the ground, and they breathe water vapor into the atmosphere, and so they regulate moisture, they regulate temperature, they regulate rainfall. The trees, like a forest, actually modifies the local climate, and also they have the canopy, which, you know, controls the sunlight. So the trees themselves are adapted to living in the forest, and without the surrounding forest, an individual tree does not grow as well. So, like, when you plant one of these trees by itself, it doesn't grow as big. Whereas if you have an entire forest, then it can grow really big. So I'm not sure how these trees work. I mean, I'm trying to think about it in terms of real-world trees, real-world forest, real-world root systems, breaking buildings and all that. It could be the trees are just magical, right? They could just be magic trees. And as I said, we have some evidence that they are magic trees, because the wood seems to be much stronger than any real-world wood. And I don't know how you can have a tree right next to your building like that, and not either have the building kill the tree, or have the tree destroy your building, right? Because trees don't really work well right next to your building like that. But we see a lot of examples of this throughout the city, so something's different about the trees in Karnaka, I guess. Anyway, back to the city and the architecture. Let us follow the ramp up. So we have like a ramp going up from the dock up to the city. So that makes really good sense. Remember back in Dunwall, we had the docks and then like a staircase, and then the city. And I was saying, like, how do you get stuff from the docks to the city? Well, you're gonna lift them up the staircase, which is really difficult. What you usually have is a ramp like this, and in fact the ramp has rails too, so you put the thing on a cart, put the cart on the rails, and then you can roll the cart where you have to pull it up. You pull the cart up the slope, and this is much easier than trying to go up a staircase, right? The fish blood is up here. Just gross. And then if we follow the fish blood, we will find the fish. Or we find some of the fish. We have some fish here. This guy's gutting that thing. And then we have more people gutting fish over there. And as you go up the street, you will see that there's basically fish everywhere. So there's a sort of a fish market here, a sort of a fish processing place and a market where they sell fish. So I guess this is the local industry. I guess this is what the primary function of the docks is, to take fishing ships in, unload the ships, and then the fish get what did I say? Unload the fish from the ships, and then the fish get processed here. I think it's the local industry here. Although if that was the case, they really should have a proper fish gut disposal system instead of just having it in the middle of the street like this, because this is not sanitary, right? This is not good for your health. Before we go further in, oh, look at all this fish, am I right? Yes, fish. So I think there are some warehouses here, although these are all closed off, so we can't go inside. We can see boxes. Docks usually will have warehouses next to them because, you know, you need a place to store things before you load them onto a ship, and you also have a place to store things when you take things off the ship. So warehouses make sense. The fish market next to the docks makes sense. The whales here, they kind of make sense. this thing doesn't really make sense, but I've talked about it already. As we go up from the docks, there's a few buildings up here. Let me get into here. Get off the street a little bit. Here, what do we have? Pawn shop. Pawn shop. What does that say? Esteban Nemos, trusted pawnbroker. Right. So the pawn shop looks like this, although you will notice as we go inside the buildings, it is rather poorly maintained. Like the tiles are all broken, and things are looking kind of dirty. The wallpaper is peeling, and there's the pawn shop. So Karnaka, I mean, we have like timber wall panels, and we have like, you see the like the detailing and the door frames and the fans and everything and the lights. So it's quite fancy. It's a little bit fancy, but it's decayed. And we will see this throughout Karnaka, is that it seems like the city used to be fairly rich, fairly affluent, but everything is decaying, right? Everything is falling apart. But if you can like kind of look past the decay, you will notice that like it's actually quite it's quite rich. Look at this. You have these like detailed glass panels, and you have timber furniture, and like look at the curve on that staircase. You have paintings, right? So Karnaka is it was rich, right? It was rich, but it is no longer rich, is what the architecture is telling us. Or at least the state of the architecture is telling us. If we come up here, I think this used to be an apartment, but it's been retrofitted into some sort of workshop. As we come up here, we have like storage, crates and things. We do have a bedroom back here, I think. Yeah, here it is, bedroom. The bed, it's not quite on the ground, it's a pretty low bed though. And like the doors are bricked up. Right, okay, good. Let's go back out. You can imagine that it used to be quite nice, but not anymore. And come back here, like you see the walls are kind of rotting down the bottom. But you know, like underneath the rot, or if it weren't for the rot, like the windows are quite fancy. Like you see that, and like you have like the parapets are quite fancy. You have, look at that detailing. Look at the detailing on those windows there. Just get out of the way. You see the detailing there. You see the detailing down there. So it used to be quite fancy, but it's all falling apart. Here we have condemned due to infestation, and we should look at this, because this introduces us to bloodflies. So bloodflies are a fictional part of the game where you have these giant insects that kill people. They kill people and they lay eggs inside your body, and then they burst out of your body, and then they kill more people. That's bloodflies. And they also build these nests inside your houses. So this is a giant bloodfly nest. So imagine enormous stinging insects that kill people and lay eggs inside people. Those are bloodflies. And Karnaka has a bloodfly problem. They not successful in their attempts to control the bloodfly infestations. So here is a building that's been infested with bloodflies. Before I go inside, there used to be a door here, but it's been blocked off. They tried to block it off to stop people from getting killed by the bloodflies. Didn't work, he's dead. So that door came in through there, and then out there's a front door that's also blocked. So if you imagine there's a street out there, by the way. So there's a building, there's kind of like doors on both ends, and then on the ground floor here we have a saloon. It's called the Crone's Hand Saloon, I believe. There's a sign outside, we can see it later on. And here it is, the saloon. We have food and drink in here. Again, it used to be quite nice. Like you see the detailing on the woodwork there. Look at that. The wood lattice there. Like we have paintings. We have pretty fancy lights. What else? Hold on. What else do we have? The furniture is pretty good. Right, and then you have the bar here. There's wood panels there. You have, look at these columns. So everything is very well decorated. It's not cheap and it's not simple, right? There's a lot of details, and that'd be nice except for the bloodflies. Right, we have a kitchen back here, and we have a bed. I guess the bar owner lives back here. Alright, so we have a bar on the ground floor, and then upstairs we have more bloodflies, and we have residential apartments, right? Right. Let's see. What is that? Laundry? Oh, they blocked this off to try to control the bloodflies. We have to get around. How do I get around? Not through here. All the doors are bricked off. So there used to be apartments here, but because everything's kind of blocked off, we have to work our way around. Try to figure out where everything is. Dead people? Killed by bloodflies? There's a bed there. There's a kitchen there. Not sure where the bed came from. The bedroom might be back there. We get through the wall, and then we have a different apartment. This apartment back here is 2 stories. With a staircase there. Balcony. So this is not street level, this is balcony level. And we have bedroom, bit of a lounge, a kitchen, pantry. I guess the front door. Okay, this was the other side of the apartment was back there, and that was the bathroom, right? Wait, there wasn't a bath back there. I'm trying to figure out how this thing worked. And then upstairs, we have a grand piano, believe it or not. And then we have that's blocked off. Not sure what's going on there. It's pretty hard to read this stuff. But you know, bookshelves. At some point, this used to be a luxury apartment, I believe, but not anymore. 2-story apartment inside a multi-story building. And then up here we have more apartments. There's the bedroom there, and then the shower there. No toilet. Not sure where the toilet is. Again, like, look at the furniture, right? Look at that couch. Not bad, right? Look at the tables. Yeah. Alright, so that's this building, infested with bloodflies. How do I get out again? Get out here. What used to be a very nice building, completely destroyed by bloodflies. Out here. Alright, back in the street. So that's bloodflies for you. In the game, the bloodflies actually attack you. You have to kill the bloodflies, and you break their nests, and that's how you get rid of them. There's no nests in there because I broke them more already. If you played the game, you would have to fight them. You have a bunch of furniture out here. I think people are like abandoning their houses and trying to sell their furniture. And they're moving away. I believe that's what that implies. An outdoor kitchen, interesting. Again, not sure who owns this or who runs this. Or like what happens when, at the end of the day, like do you pack this up? Well, it's kind of similar to the bar there, right? Like what happens when you close up shop? I don't know. Anyway, more fish. So the fish market goes up that way. There's more fish up there, I believe. Rest of the street down there. The street is kind of a gutter. I guess you would get up here if you have a choice, and not walk through the fish blood. But there's more fish up here. That's getting cut up as before. Up the alleyway, and eventually the fish market ends here, I believe. If you were actually coming here to buy fish, you would buy them here, I think, and not go all the way down to the docks. It's kind of horrible, actually, having to go through all that to get down to the docks. There's actually another access here, although it's locked and closed off. In terms of city planning, you would not lock this, you would just keep this open. Because like the ramp is for cargo and ships and fish blood, and the staircase probably would be for people. In terms of gameplay though, because I mean the game keeps telling us this is hostile territory. In terms of gameplay, the game is trying to make the player move around and up, and so just to to control the player's movement, they lock this gate and make it so that the player can't get through there. So that's for gameplay purposes. For like urban design purposes, you would not lock that. You would just keep that open. So that's a thing that we compromise. We compromise the architecture for gameplay reasons. There's more fish over here, right? Okay, there's more fish. This is the end of the fish market. We have a gate there that can be closed by the guards. As we said earlier, and just like back in Dunwall, the city is divided. Like the districts are gated off each other, and at any point in time, the guards can just close the gates and lock the people inside their own district. So here's one of the gates, and that closes off the guards district. Up here, I want to show you this. So this is a wind turbine. And on the gates you might see like little machine things. This thing that produces electricity arcing across there. That's called a wall of light, and that's how they close the gate off. It's a gate of electricity. If you try to walk through it, you get zapped and you die. And it was powered by this wind turbine, but I turned it off. Right. Can I turn it back on? Not sure if I can. Let me see if I can demonstrate. So this is the technology in game. Oh, there you go. So you turn that back on, and you see electricity arcing in the gate there. I have no idea how this thing produces electricity, because there's no actual wind turbine here. Right? There's no actual wind turbine. How does that turn into electricity? Anyway. Magic. Right, so we're still on the waterfront. A lot of the city is built on these giant terraces, stone terraces. There's also a canal system Actually, oh, that's interesting. Keep this in mind. You see that? There's a metal gate there. There's a canal going in there, and we will look at the canal again later on. But just keep this in mind for later. For now, we have more apartments to look at, and they're mostly the same story. You see the wallpaper is peeling there. We do have central heating, so that's good. Central heating, but very poorly maintained. The floor is again breaking up. The wallpaper is peeling. And there's kind of like stains everywhere. But if you look past the decay, like I keep saying, you can imagine this is pretty nice. We have a kitchen here. It was pretty nice at one point in time. This place got ransacked. This apartment got ransacked because the guy was worshipping the outsider. And various heresy. So his place got ransacked by the overseers. So this is like plot stuff that, well, it's not really plot stuff. This is in-game story stuff. The overseers are like religious police, and they root out heresy. And the void is a heresy, and so this guy is worshipping the void, and so the overseers came in and busted him, broke down the door. And that really is like, it's a general theme in a lot of the buildings in the game, is like what used to be a really nice city is being destroyed by bloodflies, religious police, the actual police, right? So the city is falling apart, but it used to be quite nice. Okay, so from the fish market we have a road that goes up there. Another gate there, by the way. And here we have a sort of a canal square. So we have an open space in the city. Down there's the canal. Remember before I said there was like a gate by the ocean, and I said to remember that? There was the gate there, so that's the ocean. There's a gate there. That's a ship lock. The water level up here is higher than down there, so you can get like cargo on ships in there and raise them up and then move them in here. And then unload the cargo here, I guess. There are some shops up there, so you would move cargo to the shops from here with a crane there, so you can like have crates be lifted up the crane there and to supply the shops. We'll see this in many parts of the city. The whole city has a canal system underneath the city, or that's what's implied. And a lot of the cargo is moved throughout the city in this underground canal system, and we see parts of it. We have people executed. Not sure why they were executed, but they're dead now. Get back up. The bloodfly infestation building was there. It was that one. The one that we walked through earlier. And I said the other side of the hallway came out here. We can see the front door. There. The Crone's Hand Saloon is what it's called. So that's you see how that's blocked up because of bloodflies. So this goes into the bar that we saw earlier. Right. Let's cross the canal because there are shops over here. Let's have a look at this stuff. So this is sort of like a shopping district, although there's not that many shops. I guess those used to be shops too, but they're closed up because of bloodflies. Over here, we can pass this first. We'll come back to this one. We have another crane. That's the ocean out there again, right? So there are a lot of cranes and a lot of ways to get cargo off boats and into the city. Alright, back here, what do we have? For rent. guess this is a barber shop? A barber shop. Alright, cool. Barber shop. And then over here we have a liquor store, probably. Looks like it, although it's been bloodfly infested again. Same as that. There's bloodflies in there as well. Condemned due to infestation again. Alright, so this used to be shops, but not anymore because of bloodflies. Alright, so this building here, this is the overseer's office. Let's see, we have these posters. Brothers and sisters, the Abbey needs your aid as well as your devotion. Donate generously to help us build a new chapel in the Dust District. Contact your local overseer if you wish to join hands in this endeavor. Yes. To all those faithful to the Abbey of the Everyman, touch not the unclean thing, nor the works that bear the marks of the outsider. The use of whalebone scrimshaw is heresy. Watch for runes and shrines in the abandoned places across our city. Report any who are in violation, lest they destroy the spirits of those in your community. Stay to the strictures. Right, so this is they're the religious police, and they make sure that nobody is engaged in heresy. The Abbey of the Everyman, Karnaca Enclave, under the guidance of Vice Overseer Liam Byrne. Right, so they're religious police and they arrest heretics. So this is basically a police station. Restroom. Right, toilet. Simple enough. We have a reception here. Fairly simple. And then this goes nowhere. This is not very well maintained, is it? The wall is falling apart, the floor is falling apart. Curious that even in the police station, things are falling apart. You would think that the Abbey of the Everyman would have enough money to keep things better maintained, but no. Also, the tiles are mismatched. So I guess the tiles have broken and they've replaced, but they've used like all different tiles to replace the broken ones, so they're all mismatched. Right, so they're kind of repairing the floor, but they can't find the same tile, so they're just using whatever tiles they can find to repair the floor. Yeah, things aren't going well. Not even for the Abbey of the Everyman. These don't line up? Yeah, no, these don't line up. Look at that. They don't line up. Or do they? Yeah, no, they don't line up. That doesn't line up with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's weird. You have a pattern, you have a 2x2 pattern, but there's 7 tiles, so they're never gonna line up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's an odd number of tiles, and so no matter how you arrange those, they're just not gonna... You're not gonna get a clean pattern out of that. That's weird. Alright, let's go upstairs. Look at this wood paneling. Ah, look how fancy this is. Alright. Man, this would be so expensive even in the real world. We have clocks, we can't go in there. And then we have more clocks, we can't go in there. And then we have like stained walls. The wood stuff holds up better than everything else. Again, I think the wood is magic. Somehow the wood is... I mean, it's a little bit worn down, but holding up remarkably well. Briefing room, right? So we get briefed here. Right, okay, briefing room. There's a bit of a chapel here. And then the Vice Overseer's office is this one, I believe. His desk is right there. And then there's a private room here with a safe. Okay, continue upstairs. Records. Personnel only. Alright, so we have offices. Records room. More records. Just looking for signs. Oh, evidence room and clerks. Okay, evidence and clerks. Interrogation. I mean, they interrogated so hard they even destroyed the tiles on the floor. That's blood, in case you're wondering. Oh, did they make people sleep here as well? Terrible. Although, couldn't they just like jump out? You could just jump out and into the canal, right? If you miss, you would break your legs and probably die. If you didn't miss, you could jump into the canal and escape. I'm not sure if this is very good security. Anyway. Interrogation, and then we have observation. You can watch the interrogation from this side. And then further upstairs, not sure what's going on here. That's closed off. And that's closed off. And then further up here we have the rooftop. Right. Rooftop and a bit of target practice. Target dummy over there. Alright, so this is the office of the overseers. Like I said, it's kind of a police office. The overseers are basically religious police. Everything is still functional, although you can see that things are kind of breaking apart and rotting. Right, the floorboards probably needs to be polished and waxed. The floor tiles are all breaking off. Everything is getting worn down. The carpet's a bit worn. But you can imagine that when this was new, it'd be very nice. Okay, back to the canal. And I think that's all we have here. So moving from the canal and continuing up, getting through this gate. The next section of the city is basically the train station. There's train tracks up there, or tram tracks. And then through here we have Adelmeyer Station. Can you see that? Adelmeyer Station. Train station there. Gonna come back to that though. Over here we have buskers. We have somebody selling plates. Product of Sarkonos, label of authenticity. Plates. I guess you're trying to hawk these goods to people traveling by train, right? We have more fish, and I think they're cooking fish, so you can buy like maybe seafood chowder or something from here. Underneath the train station there's a bit of an engineering shed, I guess. Spare parts for the trains, maybe. Alright, let's get over here. If you look at this, look at those. You see that? Those are train tracks, by the way. Let me just go above this to show you what we're looking at. So up here, we have train tracks. The trains go through here. So down here, we have wooden beams holding up the trains. Wood beams holding up trains. I don't know if you know, but trains are really heavy, and wood really is not strong enough. And especially since, you know, here we have stone, we have steel, and we have wood. And of all the things you choose to be the structural members, you choose wood. So remember how I keep saying that I think it's implied that the wood is not like our wood. It's implied that the wood in Dishonored, or in Sarkonos, is a lot stronger than our wood. And this is one of the pieces of evidence that I would present, is that the train bridge uses wood instead of steel, which means that, I mean, the only logical reason you would do that is if the wood is stronger than the steel, right? And so then if you think back to the wind turbines, the really tall wind turbines, and other wooden things in the city, and then you would think, okay, if the wood really is stronger than steel, then all of that makes sense, and this makes sense, right? So none of this stuff makes sense unless we accept the fiction that this wood is stronger than steel. Right, I just want to point that out. Alright, let's continue up. We have a train station there. We'll go there last though. There's another apartment here. We want to look through this as well. So on the ground floor we have Winslow Safe Company. Apparently safes are a big business in Karnaka. Everybody needs to secure their money. Alright, we have a safe shop down the bottom. Oh, do we need to say anything about this? Not really. There's a lot of metal work here, but the safes themselves are metal. You know, now that I think about it, if the wood is stronger than steel, wouldn't you build your safes out of wood? Maybe that's a little too silly. Or rather, maybe like the players probably wouldn't accept that. Like, it would be a little too crazy for people to wrap their heads around the idea that a wooden safe would be stronger than a steel safe. Okay, so the safes is steel, but the train bridge is wood. Back here we have another building. I think this is the fanciest building yet. Look at the door. Look at the carving. Let me close that. Look at the detail on the carvings on this door. And also notice the height. The floor to ceiling height. I think this is the tallest floor to ceiling yet. Right, we've been through a few apartments in Karnaka. The docks area is less upscale. It's poorer. It's a poorer part of the city. This is, I think, one of the richest part of the one of the richest categories of apartments. Although this is also breaking apart. Like, you see the railings here are breaking apart. The floor here is not particularly well maintained. There's like stains everywhere. The wallpaper is peeling. So even in the richest apartments, things are falling apart. But this used to be the richest kind of apartment. The tallest floor to ceiling. And like the prettiest wallpaper. Like, you have like the doors. Look how tall that door is. Isn't that crazy? Why would you have a door this tall? Oh, and then you have, look at that. You have the metal and glass skylight as well. Alright, let's get in here. Big paintings. We can't go any further up there. There is an apartment here. What does that say? Dr. Alexander Hypatia, medical doctor, medical consultation at Edelmeyer Institute only. So she's a doctor at the Edelmeyer Institute. She apparently grows plants. In the back room though, not sure if this makes any sense because there's no sun here. I guess you would rely on the lights there. Artificial lighting to keep the plants alive. So she's a biologist as well as a doctor, it seems. She has plants and butterflies. What is this? This is the toilet and bathroom. She has a lot of records. Hey, look how nice this is. Office here. Fancy wallpaper. Her bed is here, that's interesting, because this is also the kitchen. Wait a minute. Isn't that the kitchen? Where's the kitchen? No, that's the kitchen. She lives in the kitchen because the entire rest of the house is dedicated to her science. Right? Like, look at this. Like, this is science. All of that is science. Like, that's science, and then there's science back there. And then back here, even this is science. And then there's the kitchen, and then her bed. Well, if you're wondering, Hypatia, Dr. Hypatia prioritizes her science, and she doesn't really care about her food or her sleep. Her entire house is just science. And then there's a bed in the corner. Yes. Alright, that's Dr. Hypatia for you. Let's get back down to the street, and go over to the train station. Oh, and like, you know, when you read, you can read like, when the architecture is well designed, it expresses the personality and the philosophy of the character, right? So you have this fictional character, Dr. Hypatia, and you design the architecture, you design her apartment to reflect who she is and how she thinks, and so like she's obsessed with her science and she doesn't really care about her actual personal life, and so like her apartment is like 95% science and 5% living. Right, so you can see that stuff through the architecture because that's how the game designers have designed it, right? They put the character into the building or into her apartment. So that's pretty cool. So if you pay attention, you can like read or get a feel for what the characters are by looking at their offices, their apartments, and things like that. Alright, so this road came up from the docks, right? Yeah, so it came from the fish shop. The docks up a ramp to the fish market. The fish market was a different track, and that track goes all the way up and then all the way to a different part of the city. We can't go over there, there's a gate there. So the city continues that way. Here is the train station, the Adomaya station. There's a fancy sculpture in the forecourt. Quite a lot of space is just garden here, actually. I mean, I wouldn't say it's wasted space, but it's basically decorative space. It's not structural or not functional. There are seating, and there's more seating back here. If you look at the station, you would think that you would have quite a few people come through every day, right? Look how much seating and look how much space there is. And then there's like luggage all over the place as well. What is this? Lobby. Why is this the lobby? Why is that not the lobby? Not sure what's going on there. You buy your tickets here, I suppose? Or is this where you put your luggage? You can put luggage into long-term storage, I guess? And then there's an upstairs part back here. Let me just check. There's clocks again. I don't know if these signs are helpful anymore. Like clocks. Why aren't there clocks in the train station? There's a real fancy staircase. Indoor plants. Indoor plants beside the staircase. Not sure how they get enough sunlight to survive. And then up here we have records. Not sure why you need so many records. And office desks. And this place been turned into a living area. So in the game there are guards on station in this, like there are guards in the station 24/7, I believe. And I think this is turned into the guard room. Not sure what this room would have been back when it was just a train station and not also a guard room. But you can see the detailing. Right, you can see like the arch there, you can see the little curly bits on the columns there. Again, very fancy stuff, but it's been converted into something else. Like it used to be a... I don't actually know why you would need all those rooms in a train station, to be honest. Alright, so we get through this, and look how fancy this column is. Look at this column. You have that. So it's a cross, and then there's like diagonal bits, but it's not quite square, it's more rectangular than square. Very fancy columns. And also beams and roof, also very fancy. Alright, and you get it back up here. Up the stairs here, and then there's this. Look at this. This is the train. This is the carriage. So this is a tram carriage, and at most you can fit like 4 people in here. Even that's optimistic. It's probably more like a 2-person thing. So if you actually look at the tram carriages in the game, they don't carry very many people. Why is there such a big train station for such a small train? That doesn't really make sense. Because there's only like 2 people on this train. And okay, there's a hospital over there. Okay, I get it. But when we get to Adelmeyer Institute in the next video, you will see that there's actually, it's not designed to house that many people anyway. So yeah, right. So the station implies mass transit, but the way the trams work in the game is that they're not mass transit, they're personal transport for rich people. Now having said that, there is another thing back here, right? So there's one track going to the station, but there's actually another track down here that goes somewhere else. It doesn't go to the station, it goes somewhere else completely. So this is a completely different track. And I don't think there's a station. I don't think the station accesses this track, or maybe it does. Does the train stop here? I mean, it slopes down. I don't think the train stops here. This doesn't seem like a train station stop, does it? Right, so that seems kind of strange there. If we come up here, you'll notice that this is boarded off. So this used to be open. And then if we get to the other side of this, oops, sort of way. Get to the other side of this, and this is also boarded off. Or this, like, the door's closed. So imagine that this used to be open. This used to be a walkway, I guess. You can walk back here, but this is not really a station. You can walk all the way back here, but then the walkway ends here. You're not really supposed to walk on the grass, I don't think. And then the actual train station is back here. Right, you see you have this kind of shade covering here, and these people are waiting for the train. So the place where you actually board the train, and you can see the luggage here as well, you board the train here, but the train station is there. Why would that happen? I honestly can't make any sense of this. Because shouldn't this part be behind the train station back there? Right? Shouldn't the part where you board the train be either like here, or better yet, be like here at this point? So you like come out of, or you go through the train station, you buy your tickets, and then you board the train like here. That would make more sense. But you don't do that. You board this train, or else the other train is somewhere else. Yeah, no, the train station, if you really think about it, it doesn't make any sense. But aside from that, it's kind of plausible, right? Everything else fits. Oh, and I guess we should talk about this wooden stuff. So there was the wooden shade over in the other train station, and then there's this and this stop as well. We see curvy bits, right? And we have kind of established that the diagonal things and curvy things are the most advanced, the most technologically advanced pieces. And in fact, this carriage is also quite curvy. So this is new technology, and this is made of wood, by the way. See, look at that. Those are wood panels. That's also made of wood, and it is the new technology. In the real world, like, this looks very modern and very advanced, but actually, the ability to construct shapes like this is not that modern. Shapes like this can come from shipbuilding, and shipbuilding has existed for thousands of years. So this sort of thing in architecture is less common, because in architecture usually you just have like straight lines, and it's because it's easier to just have straight lines. But when you build a boat, you want the boat to move through the water cleanly, and so you have curved lines, you have like a curved hull on the ship. And the technology used to build the curved hull of the ship in timber, you just kind of flip that upside down, and then you have these kind of curved ceilings and curved roofs in architecture. So it's basically the same technology taken from shipbuilding and applied to architecture, and you can have these shapes. People don't do it very often, but you can see even in like historical buildings, you can have shapes like this in architecture. In some parts of the world, it's actually quite common. In Oceania, you have shapes like these. I think up in Scandinavia, sometimes you have shapes like these. I mean, sometimes in Scandinavia, you just have actual ships turned upside down and then use that as the roof, and you build your hull underneath them. That happens too, because, you know, if they have too many ships, they just, oh, we're just gonna repurpose the ship and turn it into a house. So that happens sometimes. Yeah, so the idea that you have these kind of smooth, curved shapes built out of timber, it looks very modern, but it's actually not. Like, it can be historical buildings. And finally, I just want to point out how fancy the stonework here. I mean, I've said it before, but look at the detail on that. Look how much detail there is in the stone. So a very, very fancy stonework. Right, somebody spent a lot of money on this, and unfortunately it has begun to decay. There's a lot of stains on it, and it has not been well maintained in recent years. But in the past, this used to be very extravagant. Alright, so that's the first part. There are three more. There are three more sequences where you walk through the city. But before we get into those, I just want to explain that although there are more parts of the city for us to visit, there won't be that much more new things for me to say, because it'll be more or less the same ideas, just in different parts of the city, right? So, what are the ideas? The trees are big, the new technology is wood, the city used to be wealthier, but recently has decayed a lot, right? So, Karnaca used to be a prosperous city, but now it has fallen into disrepair. A lot of it has fallen into disrepair. So those are the themes that we will see again and again in the other parts of the city. In fact, let's go to the other parts right now. I'm going to load the game. And we are going to the Aventor district in the Clockwork Mansion mission. Alright, and so again, we're just going to see the same themes repeated. So that was the docks, right? Karnaka docks. This is Aventor district. This goes up the side of the mountain from well, from the canals, which is where we are. Hold on, let me journal, turn that off. Alright, good. So the mission drops you off again from the canal. Remember how I said the city seems to have a canal system for cargo ships underneath the city. So here it is. So we are underneath the city. We have pipes, we have a tunnel, and the tunnel is flooded. And then we have a ship in here, and we came off the ship. And we're gonna do this over and over again throughout the entire game. Is there anything that I should say about this? Probably not. I mean, a canal system like this must have cost a lot to build. And if you imagine, like these days, in like modern tunnel building, we use like giant boring machines. But you know, back before the industrial era, before there were these giant boring machines, you would have to dig these tunnels by hand. I mean, I guess you could... I mean, if you use explosives, you risk collapsing everything on top of yourself. So you probably wouldn't use explosives. Imagine digging this stuff out by hand. That's crazy. That would have taken so much work, so much labor. Anyway, this city has an extensive canal system underground, under the city. And yeah, you just gotta wonder. And at some point, the city had so much money that they could afford to do this, right? So this used to be a really rich city, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, so you come out of the canals, and you can see how there's a ramp there, right? And then you have a little bit of train track here, and then you have cranes. So you have like cargo trains. Using the crane, put the cargo train down, you load the goods onto the cargo train, and you use the crane to lift it up and put it onto the tracks on street level. That's elaborate, right? If we make our way up here, you can see. So we've got tracks up here, we got a carriage there, and then we have this crane that moves these trains up and down from there up to here. isn't that great? Very elaborate, and I just gotta wonder, is that really necessary? Like, would you move the whole train, or would you just move the cargo? No, you would just move the cargo. What am I talking about? You would just keep the train up here and then use the crane to move the cargo onto the train. Why would you move the whole train? Doesn't make any sense. Why are the tracks down there? Why is that down there? I mean, I don't know. Seems elaborate. Alright, so this is the Aventor district, and there is again a train station. The sign says Aventor Station. There are a few side streets that we can look at though, so let me just do that. First of all, the main street. The street that comes up that way, it's blocked over there. And then the street continues that way, it's also blocked over there. So again, the city's been blocked off into different districts. I don't know how anyone gets around the city anymore. Maybe they just don't. Maybe the whole city's just a prison now and you don't travel anywhere. Again, we have a giant tree right next to the building. Right? I mean, I'm not going to repeat myself, but you know, root problems. Yeah, now there's no way you can build a building right next to a giant tree like that. Unless the tree just doesn't grow, right? If the tree doesn't grow, if the roots never move, then your building is safe. But if the tree grows and the roots move, then your building will be demolished. I mean, is it implied that these are immortal trees? They just don't change, they just don't grow? I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. Having a tree right next to your building doesn't make any sense, if we think of it in terms of the real world. Alright, let's come back here. There's a bit of a square back here. More buildings. Again, I mean, it's quite ornamented, just like the parapet there, and the woodwork, and the stonework, I mean. Fancy stonework, fancy windows, but everything is just moldy and rotting. There's a beggar there. He's homeless. Not sure what's going on back there. Is anything for us to see here? Let me just come in here. Oh, this used to be a shop? Report all theft. Yeah, no, your entire shop has been robbed. There's nothing left in your shop, my friend. Everything has been ransacked. Alright, so this... At some point there was a shop on the ground floor, not anymore. We have furniture in the hallways. Not sure where the furniture came from, but I guess the apartments have been abandoned as well. We do have one apartment we go into, but this has been bloodfly infested. Look at that. So we have bloodfly infestation here. This is the bathroom. Okay, there's the bath, there's the toilet, there's the dead guy who used to live here, I suppose. Bloodflies, there's the bedroom in here. And then... why does this hallway go around like this? Oh, and then this is the... what is this, the lounge? There's another bed here. Strange. There's no kitchen. There's no kitchen, there's no dining. And the hallway kind of takes up too much space. Why would you do this? You wouldn't do this. Okay, you wouldn't do this. You would just have the room here, because this hallway doesn't do anything. This hallway is literally just a waste of space. You can just have like the entire room is open. Okay, I mean, I just have the door there and then have the room open. It's probably what you should do. Anyway, the apartment has been abandoned for a long time and also bloodfly infested. And most of the furniture is missing. So things are not going well in this part of the city. There are also rats. Are they, like, are any of these occupied? It's not entirely clear. There's a black market shop in the basement down here, if you're interested. Nothing too special to see down here though. The basement is brick. Interesting. And then we have an alleyway, and all the doors are locked, so we can't see anything in there anyway. So once you get off the main street, things are looking pretty bad in the city, huh? Right? The main street looks okay. I mean, even on the main street, the street could use a bit of cleaning. And like all the buildings are kind of rotting away. But at least you can believe the city is still alive, but you know, you go into the side streets and you gotta wonder. Let's go look over here. There's more stuff over here. Let's see, on the ground floor we have some shops. Alcohol? What is this? Fine wine. Right, so you have an alcohol shop there. I believe this is bloodflies again in another apartment. Again, the furniture's been moved out of the buildings. Oh, this is serious bloodflies. There's a lot of bloodflies. This used to be a doctor's office, I believe. You have a wheelchair there. Various sciencey and chemical things, right? And then here you have an operating table with a dead person on it. So this used to be a doctor's office, I believe, or even actual surgery. And then up here, more bloodflies. More bloodflies. The whole apartment's been emptied. There's a shrine to the outsider in there. Basically, the place is destroyed and abandoned. You're doing what? You're trying to clean this? Good luck, buddy! You're trying to clean that with a sponge? There's more fish here, but it doesn't seem like the shop's actually open. Are they actually selling fish here? I think these are homeless people. They've been ejected onto the street. Right, they've got a few mattresses. Their furniture is piled up on the street, and they have nowhere to go. Inside, again, everything's peeling. And dirty and rotting. Again, the wallpaper's falling apart. What is this? The toilet? Alright, toilet. And this is an office building. Right, so we have offices here. Not sure what kind of office this is. What does that say? All repairs and sundries, strictly cash. Oh, I guess this is like a... Repairs and sundries? What are you repairing? No, this is paperwork. They don't have any machines. Oh, maybe the machines are somewhere else. Well, let me just look around. For sale, yeah, good luck with that. We have dining, kitchen. Wait, that's not a kitchen. We have dining, bedroom, bathroom, toilet, bit of a sitting area, lounge. Is there no kitchen? Oh, this is the stove. Wait a minute. There's a fireplace. I guess you can... Wait a minute. Is that the kitchen? There's no stove here. You can't cook here. But you can prepare food here? This is strange. I don't know how that works. You cook there? But yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, an apartment. This is actually relatively well maintained, you know? Things are not falling apart as hard in this particular apartment than in some of the other ones. You know what? This is okay. This is doing okay. I mean, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Alright, so this apartment is doing okay. So like maybe like 15% of the apartments are not completely falling to pieces. Alright, so let's get into the train station now. Is that open? Can I get into there? Hold on, let me just look at that real quick. The game gives you these magical powers which allows you to move around like this. Oh wait, what is this? Fancy blue curtains. Oh, a dead person, oops. This is somebody's office? No, this is a real fancy office. Look at this chair, and look at this table. Look at these curtains. I don't know whose office this is, but this used to be quite fancy, but it's been abandoned, like everything else. Like, the architecture is still in pretty good shape, except the furniture's been broken and things have been pushed around. Alright, so again, abandoned, ransacked and abandoned. Get back down. Okay, so Aventor Station. Architecturally, it's basically the same as Andomaya Station. The layout is a little bit different. There's what is this? This is the tickets, or you buy tickets there, and then you go up the stairs. And then you get on your train here. Again, the train is just a single carriage. Basically a single-seater carriage. Private transport. We will get into the carriage later on. Very soon, in fact. Let me just come back here though, because behind the station there's another little space back here. Another pawn shop. But the pawn shop has been completely ransacked. And this has been walled off, so this is another part of the city that's been walled off. And all of this is abandoned, I believe. It looks abandoned. So, okay. This part here really puzzles me. Because there's a street here, right? And it's implied that the street continues in that direction. If not for the wall. The street stops here. And this is the back of the train station. And then if we go to the other side of the train station, there's a street here, and the street goes that way, and there's a junction and the street goes that way. Why is the station here? Why does the street not continue all the way through with a T-junction here? And then why is the train station not next to the street instead of straddling the street? You see what I mean? If the station wasn't here and the street continued, then the street would be much better connected. Instead, the station completely blocks off that side of the city from this side of the city by straddling the street. You see how that doesn't make any sense? That doesn't make any sense because why would you cut this off? I can't explain that. I really can't. But if I were to design the city, right, this train station would be sideways, right, maybe like there, or maybe it can straddle both sides of the street even. But the street would continue through. And that would make a lot more sense, in my opinion. Anyway, that's not how it is. So we come up here, let's get onto this carriage. Because this is Aventor, right? There's also Upper Aventor, which we will find if we get into the carriage. We go to the Upper Aventor district. The walls open for the carriages, by the way, so if you are rich enough to get into a carriage, you're not blocked off by the walls. If you try to travel on foot, then you're blocked off by the walls. Alright, so we go up the tram. You'll notice again that the tracks are supported by wood, not metal structure. Alright, and this is Upper Aventor. Before we look at the buildings, let me just show you where we are, right? So there's the rock, or you know, Shindere Peak is back there. Bus district is all the way over there. There's the bay, and then the canal, the Grand Karnaka Canal is down there. We can see bridges across it. There's a bridge there, there's another bridge there I think, or maybe there isn't. Anyway, there's definitely a bridge there, and then there's the canal is in between there. So we are on the other side of the canal. I don't know if you can remember the map that we saw back on the boat. If you can, then we're basically on the other side of the city now. And yeah, so this is that metal or wood? That's wood, right? Yeah, no, those are wooden structures holding up the train tracks. Alright, Upper Aventor District. There's I don't know why there's a little set of tracks here, because the tracks don't go anywhere. They just go to here, they stop. What is this? What's the point of this? Upper Aventor District, it used to be even fancier than the Lower Aventor District. If you look at the architecture, I think it's a little fancier. There's these walkways underneath the, like on the ground floor. There's these cloisters. So these are nice, right? Unfortunately, everything's abandoned. I believe everything's abandoned. Everything's abandoned except for this, which is the Grand Sarkonan Guard Office. So another police station. This time it's not the overseers. Overseers are the religious police. The Grand Guard is the the guard. It's the city guard. I've eliminated in the city guard, but there used to be guards on duty here. So on the ground floor we have toilet, we have reception, we have some records. Actually, are there signs? Records. Okay, there you go. Some records, and I guess this is the evidence room. Oh, oops. What did I do? What did I do? Wait, what? Oh, there's radiators, there's central heating, nice. I'm just looking at the state of the floors and the walls. Things don't seem to be decaying. in the Grand Guard's office. I mean, the carpet is moldy. But aside from that... Okay, there's... Okay, no. It is falling apart. It's falling apart. Ew. What are those? What are those stains? Right, offices. This is like the meeting room, right? Oh, this is interrogation. Interrogation there. The interior is quite plain, right? There's no wood paneling. There's no fancy wallpaper. I mean, it is basically a police office, so it's not supposed to be rich or fancy. Although, oh, look at this wallpaper here, slightly fancier. Not sure why there's fancy wallpaper in the toilet, but okay. Over here, what is this? A classroom? And an office back here. Very plain decorations. Hardly any decorations at all, in fact. Report employee infractions to the management office. Okay then. Alright, and that's basically the whole police station. Private, right. I mean, it's a little bit decayed, but in a lot of ways less decayed than most of the other parts of the city. Right, so the Grand Guard is still going. It's still fairly well funded and functional. Man, this thing's covered in plants. That's probably not good for your machinery to be covered in plants. Let's go walk around the rest of Upper Aventor though. So there's another gate there, not sure why, because there's nothing beyond the gate really. I'm gonna go around here, we're gonna go around the gate. Back here, another gate. If you can get past that, there's a bit of a courtyard here. And... Are these shops? No, these are not shops. So these used to be apartments. I think we can get up there actually. We can't walk inside because all of this is closed off. But we can climb inside. Can I just jump up? Oh, sure can. Ah, this place has been ransacked. What's that noise? Oh, and there's bloodfly infestations here too. Okay, well. Dead person. Okay, I see. So we have a bedroom back here. I'm trying to find the... Oh, this is the front door. Oh, we can walk in here. My bad. I just missed the door. So we have a bedroom there, and then we have sort of a sitting place. What is this? Why is there a basin? I'm trying to find the kitchen. But that's just, I can't find the kitchen. There doesn't seem to be any cooking facilities. Where would you cook? Alright, there are no cooking... Oh, here? Okay, there's the stove. Well, I mean, it's basically a fireplace. But you can cook things on top of the fireplace. It's a little strange. Have you noticed that we're not finding kitchens in a lot of these apartments? Like, there's the fireplace and there's a stove, but they're often not next to where you prepare the food. Anyways, it's a small quibble. We shouldn't be too concerned. That's a bloodfly, by the way. That's what they look like. A single bloodfly is harmless. When you have a dozen of them at the same time, then they will kill you. Alright. So that place is infested and abandoned, and there used to be a shop here, but this looks abandoned. If we climb up here, we see more bloodfly infestation. Now this used to be real nice, look at this. We have great views from the windows. Somebody set up a painting canvas here. I guess they're doing painting outside. That's quite nice. I guess the rest of the apartment used to be back there. Right, so this used to be a very nice lounge, like it faces a great view. Unfortunately, it's been destroyed by bloodflies, like so many other things. Alright, and then we get back to here, and this was the gate, right? So we got on the train from there. And there's a gate here, and then on the other side of the gate, this basically just stops. I think there used to be a bridge here, but the bridge has fallen down. I think. Let me just check. So the road comes up here, and the road continues that way, but there's a wall there. Did there used to be bridges over there? Down there? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, the train at least, or the tram track, continues on to there, and that is the Clockwork Mansion. It is one of the game's levels, and we will look inside the Clockwork Mansion in a later video. Not right now. Just keep that in mind. So the Clockwork Mansion is right there. Alright, so this is the Aventor district. Let's move on to the next part. The next place we want to go is Royal Conservatory Syria Gardens district. So again, this is another level, and we're gonna again start from the boat, and we have to work our way up to. This time we're gonna work our way to the Royal Conservatory. The Royal Conservatory is basically a museum. And again, we're not going to look at the museum itself, but that's going to be in a later video. Right! And once again, we came in on a boat. Here's the underground canal. It goes that way. That's interesting. That's natural rock. That's a natural cave system. Huh. I mean, the game never lets you actually explore the entire canal system. And maybe that would be boring. But I'm like curious now, like exactly what is this canal system? Can we swim? You know what, let me just think. How far can we go? Oh, this is not even a cave, it's open to the sky. Wild. And then it stops at the gate here, and then there's a more canal back there. Wild, I've never actually tried coming back this way before. Very cool, alright, now I know. There's a bathtub in the canal. Why would there be a bathtub in the canal? Okay. Alright, let's get back up. Right, so we come in from the canal again, and we have a boat there, look at that. We have, I guess these would be warehouses back here. And then we don't even have a connection from that side to this side, but we have a cargo ship. You will notice that the cargo ship barely fits through the canal, right? So the canal is this wide on this side, and it's only this wide on this side. And like, look at the tunnel bits. The boat barely fits through. I mean, there's maybe a foot on each side when you try to squeeze it into the tunnel. And through here, the canal continues that way, I guess. Let me just check again. So we come through here. That's blocked. I guess that used to be open. I mean, that's not supposed to be blocked, right? But it ends here on this side, and you can have cargo moving up there, I guess. How do you open this? I don't know. Alright, let's get back out. So like it implies that the canal system should be bigger and extend further, but you don't get to explore it. Alright, let's get back up. So from canal level, we go up the stairs onto street level. And here is Syria Gardens. Syria Gardens, there's more plants it seems like. Look, there's more trees. Oh, there's two massive trees. There's three massive trees right there. And then there's another tree and there's more massive trees behind there too. Interesting. So more trees. And Syria Garden, I think, is even wealthier than the previous areas. Let's walk around a little bit and see if we can look at... oh, there's a dead guy. See how prosperous this place used to be. There's a shop here. It looks like the... oh, wait a minute. No, the window's broken. Did I break this? Or was it already broken? I think I broke this. So, I don't know if I've made this clear, but you'll notice there's no enemies in any of these levels. It's because I've cleared out the enemies so that we can look at the architecture uninterrupted, right? So when I say I broke this, I think I broke this in the course of clearing out the enemies. Because none of this other stuff is stolen, right? I think if it was already broken, then the level designer would have had this stuff be stolen. Anyway, we have a back alley here. The black market shop is there, by the way, not that it's too important. So we have, notice how the back alleys are less decayed than the previous areas. Look at this. I mean, there's some decay, obviously, but notice how even in the back alleys, things are relatively clean and tidy. So Syria Gardens is doing less badly than the other areas. Another pawn shop. Alright, one of these things we can go into. Okay, here, this one. Let's check out the interior. There's a basin right by the door. The floor tiles are broken again. So that seems to be unavoidable in Karnaka for some reason. The walls are a little bit dirty, but not too bad. And then look in here. There's an apartment here. It's been taken over by the overseers, but I don't think they've changed it too much. Look, there's a kitchen here. Look, here the stovetop is actually in the right place for once. There's sort of a pantry there, and then we have a lounge. And then back here we have bedroom. Well furnished bedroom. There's a lot of there's like paintings and lights and animal heads and things, right? And then we have bathroom and toilets. There's a rug on the floor, fancy tiling. See, this tiling's not broken. Look at this. The tiles in the bathroom are in good shape. The wallpaper is not peeling. So Syria Gardens doing less bad than a lot of the other parts of the city. Look at this. Alright. So a wealthier part of the city and still holding up. I say that and then we come up here and there's like boarded up windows up here. So this one's not doing as well. Abandoned furniture. Oh, and then up here, the guards have actually taken over. The guards have taken over. They put a wind turbine here, and that wind turbine powers the security on that gate. Oh, there's a wall there, right? There's a wall there, there's a wall there, and there's a gate there. So again, all the streets leading out of the district are gated off, and you can't escape. Oh, skylight. But aside from that, things are doing mostly okay. I mean, it could be better, but compared with the with some of the other places, this part of the city is very well maintained. Surprisingly well maintained. The gate is there. That goes up to the conservatory, the Royal Conservatory. Let me just check if there's any place we can explore down here. What is this, a furniture shop? Alright. The furniture shop has not been broken into. Right, it's still intact. Yeah, this part of the city is doing fine. Not sure why there's furniture on the streets like this. Oh, let's check this place. Let's see if there's some apartments in here we can look at. Here you go, we have toilets here. That's broken, but maybe I broke that. And then we have a bit of a lounge, we have a kitchen. There's an oven, but not a stove top. And there's no bedroom. Presumably the bedroom's behind this door or something, I don't know. Maybe. But we can't get to the bedroom. Right? I mean, this is still a functional apartment. It's not completely destroyed. We have more stairs. And then that's it. This is apparently bloodfly infestation up there. Not sure though, because we can't actually get up there in the game. And look at all these trees. Alright, cool. Let's get back down and let's go out. Go up to the conservatory. So, if we get past this gate, the Royal Conservatory is that building there. Again, we're not gonna look at that in detail in this video. Alright, so on this side, this is a club, a tavern, a bar, something. Not too sure what's going on down there. Because on this side, look at this, we have beer taps. On this side, we have a sink on this side. So this looks like a bar, and then we should... Look, we have beer. Oh, it actually gives you beer. We should serve customers on the other side. Is that right? Are we serving, like, are the customers supposed to be on the other side? So should the customers go in here somehow? Not sure how that works. Like, I don't know, like, do these open up or not? I don't know. Alright, so this is the ground floor. And then if we come up, we have private rooms. Right, and then here we have a head bartender telling people how to mix drinks. In the private room, we appear to have a card game gone wrong, and there are some dead people with their cards. Oops. Aside from the card game gone wrong, oh, the wallpaper's peeling. That's not good. Hey, what's going on there, you guys? If it weren't for that little bit of wallpaper, it's actually pretty well maintained, if you think about it. Aside from that bit, everything's actually looking in fairly good shape. Let's see, with the kitchen back here, not sure about the state of those bricks. We have a stove. More kitchen. I mean, this thing is still cooking somehow. Not sure how long those guys have been dead, but the stove is still going. Alright, so there's like a... I think this is like a private club. They serve food and drinks. Although there's not that much room here, right? There's one table. It's a private club for like 4 people. Or maybe the scale is wrong. Because usually you need more customers to sustain an establishment like this, right? There's more space on the roof, And I guess you can have people drinking up here as well. I'm not sure this place can fit enough customers to keep it running. I'm gonna jump across here. So there's another building next door. I'm jumping across because you can't actually get to this place from the ground. It's gonna be a bit disjointed, but let me just come in here first, and then... Oops, that's too high up. And then after this, I'll show you the ground floor, right? So this is some sort of office. The door in should be back there, but it's blocked off, as you can see. And there has been a bloodfly infestation in here. Some sort of office. Not sure what exactly the business is, but there's a safe, there's a big clock. There are desks. What does that say? The Southern Winds Natural Philosopher. What does that mean? And then there's... I don't know what this room is. There's a board. There's like books. I'm not sure what this room is. Right, really? And then there's more stuff up there. Oh crap, that's a wrong skill. Excuse me. I want to far reach. Let me get up there. Let me cancel this over. Alright, and then that, and then... So upstairs, there's the door there, right? Is that right? So there's a door there, and presumably there's a staircase back there to get from down there to up here. There's more office desks, more books, and I still can't figure out what kind of office this is, but it is some sort of office. Right. So that's this building. I just want to point out like how luxurious some of the stuff is, like long red curtains, double height spaces. Look at those arches there, very fancy. Fancy columns. So this is like expensive stuff. And look at the the glass, the detailing on the glass, and the wood panels. Right, look at those panels. Long columns, decorative elements on the stonework, chandeliers and everything. So this is expensive stuff. Syria Gardens is a wealthy part of the city. Although there's decay here as well. I mean, the decay is not as noticeable, but as we said, there was bloodflies right in that building. Here, people have decided to shoot each other. That's a real shame. The railings are falling off. The wooden bits on the railings are falling off. Alright, back down to the street level. And let me not do that. Let me get across here. So the bloodfly building that we couldn't get to the stairs for. The front door is here. That's the front door. It's been boarded up. Let me try and see if there are any signs to tell us what building this is. No. It's been wrapped because they're trying to contain the bloodflies by wrapping it in cloth. What does that say? Karnaca bloodfly control edict. What does that say? The new amazing taste sensation. As an advertisement. Yeah, no, I don't know what that building is. But it used to be, it used to have a very fancy office upstairs. That's all I can say about it. This alleyway leads nowhere. And then over here, we have another building we can get into. Some squatters have taken up residence down here. They've put mattresses down and they've set up a cooking fire here. So the economic situation is not doing well. It's not going well for those people. If we come up here... Oh, we need to like jump across. Again, bloodfly infestation. What is that? Is that a shadow or is it up there? The walls are quite plain, aren't they? Not very richly decorated here. If we come in here, aside from the bugs and everything, exit. Oh, do we have a 31? We don't have a sign here. It's not entirely clear what this is. Something office. And then there's okay, there's a waiting area here. There's a reception. And then back here we have chloroform bottles. There's a bed, there's a wheelchair there. I think it's some kind of medical office, right? There's a... Is that like a dentist chair? No, the dentist chair requires lights. A bed? Interesting. I'm not sure if that bed's original or if it's been put there later on. And then there's these like flasks and things. I think some sort of medical establishment. Not sure what exactly it is though. Again, very tall ceilings, but otherwise quite ordinary actually. Nothing too fancy. Alright, is there anything else we need to say about Syria Gardens? Let me get back down to the street. I don't think there's too much for us to say about this. It's like... It's somewhat wealthier than the other districts that we've seen so far, but also decaying, right? It has not entirely escaped the bloodflies and the guards and everything else. But I mean, look at the stonework. Like, look at the detailing on that stone there, and presumably it was like that there as well. I think this is about as rich as the city ever got. And of course the conservatory is there. We'll look at that later on. Alright. So that's the Syria Gardens district. We have one more. Let's go to the Palace district. Man, this one's a long video, huh? The Palace district is gonna be from here. Alright, so the last one... can we see where we are? Maybe we can. Alright, let me think about this. So once again we start from the water. And then we have... not sure what those buildings are. We start from the water and then we get up into the streets. Fish market again, although I don't know why you would sell fish all the way back here. Wouldn't you want the fish to be... or rather, wouldn't you want the market to be closer to the main street? I don't know if these used to be shops. I mean, they shut it up, so we don't know what they are. Somebody is squatting here. Alright, can we see where we are if we look out? Kind of. The dreadful... let me get up there, in fact. Can I get up there? Alright, great. Ah! Turn off that marker. So there's the palace. And there's Adolbaya Institute. Which means the dreadful whale should be... well, somewhere over there. We can't seem to see it. Dust District, the Shindere Peak. So remember how the bay curves around, and then at the end of a peninsula there's the Duke's Palace. Right? There's the triangular shape of the Duke's Palace. And then the city kind of goes towards the peninsula, and at the very end of the peninsula is the Duke's Palace, which is that one there. So this is where we are, if you can remember the map. Alright, let's get back down. So if we get across the water front, there's a lot of buildings out here. Are these residential? Not sure. But there are little bays where there are kind of ships That's a smuggling ship, by the way, so they're smuggling goods into the city from there. More fish markets. Again, wouldn't you want your market to be on the main street? Alright, so this is the street here. But you see the street's been blocked off again. It's blocked off there, it's blocked off at that end as well. The train or the tram tracks are still powered. The tram track still works. But here, look at this. This street has been blocked off for so long that somebody has set up a squatting place here. Right, they have a bed, they have a mattress, and then they have a cooking fire. So this street is basically permanently blocked. So much so that somebody is living here now. We have what used to be a shop, but now is completely infested by bloodflies. Can we see what they used to sell? Our merchandise is finer than you think. Procure artifacts and trinkets from only reputable sources. Confiscation by Grand Sarkonian Guard from certain convicted criminals. Young industrious mudlarks treated fairly and with kindness for the gravity of the situation. Oh, does that mean it's stolen goods? Customers like you wishing to trade their well-cared for belongings for coin. Oh, this is another pawn shop. Oops, don't look at that. This is another pawn shop, I believe. Not that it matters. Alright, so up the street, we have a tree there. That is significant, but we'll look at that a little later on. There's a lot of furniture on the street, right? A lot of furniture just lying around on the street. And if we go inside here, what's happened here, according to the story, is that the Duke has evicted the people who used to live in these buildings. Right, so this used to be... I mean, the building itself is fairly well maintained, I think. Let me just double check. I mean, there's some stains on the ground, but... Alright, the building itself is actually fairly well maintained. But all the furniture has been ransacked, and half of it has been dumped onto the street. Right, and somebody's graffitied on the wall. I think there's another apartment above us. Let me go upstairs. What is this? We have an office. What is this? Oh, this is the wind turbines and the tube things. The tube things that we don't really know what they do. Okay, there's a bedroom up here, and then there's a bathroom up there. Is this like a two-story apartment, or is it a different apartment? There's no kitchen up here. Right. So the story goes that the Duke, in order to secure his palace, has put up this giant blockade across the wall, and all the buildings that are now forming a part of the wall to the palace, the buildings have been cleared out by the Grand Guard to increase security. So it used to be you come up the street, and then the palace is like just beyond the wall there. But the Duke has now walled off his palace from the rest of the city, and he's also kicked out all the people who live near the wall. So the point is, these buildings are actually fine. Like, compared to the rest of the city, these buildings are the least decayed, right? They're the best well kept. But despite that, despite having resisted the bloodflies and resisted all the other decay, the Duke has come in and kicked everybody out. Yeah, no, so everybody's screwed. You thought you were doing well, and then the Duke comes in and kicks you out of your own home. Especially this one. Taxes, taxes, taxes. Look at the wood paneling here. Look at this. Look how fancy all this stuff is, right? If we come up here, you will see that this is Mr. Marletto. He works at Winslow Safes. I don't know if it says there. No, it doesn't. But it does say that in order to prevent people from getting past the wall, which if you go out the door here, you're on the other side of the wall. So you can get past the wall by coming through this apartment. So in order to stop people from getting through the wall by coming through the apartment, they've kicked this guy out of his house. So he works at the Winslow Safe Company. This is his workshop, I guess. He's working on some of the mechanisms here. We have a bed here, we have a toilet here. No kitchen. Right? No kitchen? No kitchen. But doesn't matter because he no longer lives here. He's been booted out of his house. Oh, here's the kitchen. It's small, isn't it? Alright. So that's the story of the Palace District. Is that a perfectly fine district has been also destroyed. This time by the Duke. There's more stuff over on the other side though. Let's come over here. So these apartments have also been emptied out. You see the wind turbine there? They put a wind turbine there to power the security down here. There's a wall of light here. You can get through to the Grand Palace there. Right, so the wall of light is powered by the wind turbine, but I've turned that off obviously. And you can get up to it from here. Do have a back door. This goes into the back part of the city. So here the guards have taken over this unit and they've converted it into sort of a guard post. Up here we have a bloodfly infestation. Alright, bloodflies again. I mean, it was pretty sparsely furnished to begin with, or maybe the bloodflies moved in afterwards. Okay, so you see how the furniture has been moved to one side of the room. I think they cleared out this apartment for security reasons, and then afterwards the bloodflies got in here. Because you wouldn't move the furniture, right? If the bloodflies are already here, you wouldn't come in to move the furniture. That's crazy, right? So they moved the furniture, and then there's the bloodfly infestation. Although they didn't move any of the bedroom furniture. Curious. Not sure what that means. But anyway, bloodflies now. And then further up here we have the roof, and then this is where the wind turbine is. This is quite good actually, because from here we can see the palace. The palace is back there. Can I get further up? I can get further up, right? Let me get up here. There's the palace. I don't want to fall off though. So there's the Duke's palace. It's just on the end of the peninsula there, so he built this wall to stop people from getting to his palace. Oh, those things, right. So in some parts of the city you see that somebody has built these wooden contraptions on top of the roofs. And it's not entirely clear to me what they do, because they're open, like they're not closed. So if they're closed you would think, okay, they put another room on top of the building, so it's more floor space. But it's open, so it's not like you can use it as an indoor room. I guess the slats would block the sun, but it wouldn't block the wind. I guess you can use it as a sort of like an outdoor space, a usable outdoor space. Yeah, I'm not sure why they've put these wooden things on top of the houses. But they're new, they are retrofitted onto the older stone buildings because they don't fit right. So there's the stone building down there, and then on top of that they've retrofitted these curvy timber structures on top. Not sure what their functions are. And the game never explains it, nor do we ever actually go inside one of those things. So I have no idea what they are or why they're there. But yeah, but there's like wooden attachments to existing buildings. Okay, back down to street level. Let me walk up the street, because there's two streets actually. So the Duke's Palace back there, right? So the peninsula, so we have one street coming up the peninsula, and then we have another street coming up the peninsula. And the two streets kind of converge to a point, is how this goes. And this one has a train track on it. We're carrying wood. I guess the wood is going to build more walls or something. Not sure what's going on with the wood shipment. And then over here we have some shops. These guys are gambling. I guess they don't have anything better to do. We have Winslow safes. It's remarkable that Winslow safes is like the richest business in town. Like look at the furnishings. I guess the safe business is the best business in town. Like they make the most money, I guess. Alright, there's some safes there. This is like a photography shop, I guess. Do we have anything to see inside this building? Again, the wallpaper's coming off. The door isn't supposed to be broken. I think I broke the door. Right, the wallpaper's coming off, but aside from that, it's kind of okay. I mean, this is kind of okay still. We have a toilet there, we have a bed there, a bit of a dining table here, and a kitchen here. Alright, this is fine. Alright, back down to the street. And then there's a side street here. All the shops are ransacked. And then back over here. That shop seems to be completely shut down. This shop is completely ransacked. There's a black market shop back here though. But everything out here has been stolen and destroyed. And buskers. Alright, so one last thing. There's a tree. So at the end of the peninsula here, there's this tree. And the tree is a little bit special. There's this structure, sort of like a gazebo thing, I guess, around the tree. And then at the base of the tree there are these plaques. Duchess Maybelline Abel. As the leader of my people, I judge my worth in the measure of full bellies and happy hearts. Alright, cool. Duchess Lysandra Abel. And then Duke Cadmus Abel. So the Abels, they're the dukes and duchesses of Serkonos. So they're the rulers of Serkonos, and I guess this is their special tree. This is like their family tree, I guess. And I thought I'd point this out because, you know, their family tree is here, and then the palace is there, but the Duke, the no-good current Abel, built his wall right between the tree and his palace. So he's cut himself off from his family roots, is what this symbolizes, right? So if you look at this, all the previous Abels talk about how they serve the people, and my worth, I judge my worth in the measure of full bellies and happy hearts, and so if the people are well fed and happy, then I've done my job, is basically what the old Duchess says. So all of this, the past goodwill and connection between the dukes and the people have been cut off by the current duke, who's decided to lock himself away in his palace and cut himself off from the city, built a giant wall between himself and the city, and in fact built himself a giant wall between him and his family legacy. Is what this symbolizes. Alright, so that's the end of our little tour of the streets of Karnaka. In the next video, we are going to visit Adelmeyer Institute, which is the hospital on the island in the bay, as we've seen before. Before I end the video, I guess we should like summarize. So what do we learn about this city from all of that? We learned that wood is the new fancy technology, and apparently wood is stronger than steel in this game, in this setting, right? So there's that. The city of Sarkonos... No, the city of Karnaka, my bad. The city of Karnaka used to be quite prosperous, right? In fact, if we like think about the architecture and we like reverse the decay and we imagine what the buildings looked like when they were new, there are no poor buildings, right? There are no buildings for poor people. Everything is at least middle class and above, right? So it implies that there used to be a time when there were no poor people in Karnaka. Everybody was wealthy. Well, not wealthy, but everybody was well off enough that they lived comfortably and they lived well, and all the architecture is quite nice. Unfortunately, the way they are now in the game is everything's decaying. We have bloodflies, we have rot, we have mold, and then we have the guards taking over buildings, even though they would otherwise be fine. And so people are evicted from their homes and they're homeless. There's a lot of homeless people. We don't actually see a lot of people living comfortably inside their homes. We see more people living on the streets, right? And if we go inside the buildings, everything's falling apart. All the wallpaper's peeling off. Like, all the tiles are broken. And there's a lot of bloodflies everywhere. So basically, it used to be a prosperous city that has fallen into hard times. What else do we have to say? The tram tracks and the carriages, like a lot of the city has been walled off, either with the old steel gates or newly built wooden barricades. The wooden barricades are these things. So there's the old steel gates that are permanent, and then there's these new wooden barricades. And basically, like every part of the city we go to, everything's walled off. And there's no suggestion that any of it ever opens up for ordinary people. But if you're on a tram, or if you're on one of these carriages, the wall will open up for the carriage. So if and presumably only rich people get to ride the carriages, right? So if you're rich, you can travel through the city on this carriage system. But if you're walking on the ground, you can't go anywhere unless you go through the canal system. So the cargo is still moved through the canal system, and occasionally we see smuggling boats going through the canal system. So the canal system brings goods into the city, and I guess that serves rich people as well as poor people. So that still functions, and the carriages can still get through the city, but ordinary people, it seems like, are locked inside their districts and they can't go very far. What else do we have to say? I think that's pretty much it. Like, mostly you get the sense, like the most important thing I think the game wants you to understand is that this used to be a really nice city, but everything's falling apart. Alright, so that's the end of this video. Alright, I'll see you next time where we go look at the Adelmeyer Institute. I'll see you there.